Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers, and in this video we are going to be doing our multi-tester review of the Hoka Mach 5. Let's dive in. The Hoka Mach 5 costs £130 or $140. It weighs in at 212 grams or 7.5 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 5mm. The Hoka Mach 5 is the long-anticipated successor to the hugely popular Mach 4 and its slightly firmer sibling, the Mach Supersonic. In the most recent version, there's an updated ProFly Plus midsole that offers a slightly softer ride for daily training runs, a leaner upper to keep the weight down, including a redesigned lay-flat tongue, and longer laces than those supplied with the Mach Supersonic. It's a shoe that's designed for versatility, allowing you to go from comfortable daily miles all the way up to race day, offering an excellent balance of responsiveness and cushioning. That balance is the result of a dual density midsole that combines a softer layer with a firmer rubberized outer layer. Hoka says is a shoe that has a little more oomph behind it, both in performance and ride. The fit for me in the Mach 5 is true to size. It's a very comfortable shoe. It holds your foot in place nicely. It's a Hoka, so it is slightly narrow, but I didn't have any problems with it at all. And there is a little bit of extra space in the forefoot, but I didn't find it to be an issue when I was testing the shoe. You can also get a wide version of the shoe, but I can only find the wide version on the women's shoes on the website. I couldn't see it on the men's shoes, so hopefully you'll be able to find those if you have wider feet, but I can't see them at the moment.
So the Hoka Mach 5 fit me completely true to size, very comfortable shoe, great hold around the midfoot and heel. Yeah, no concerns at all in my normal size.
So in terms of design and fit, I mean, like the Mach 4, this is a very good looking shoe. I had the Mach 4 in the kind of all white look, which did start to get, you know, a bit grubby once you put a bit more mileage in it. But ultimately, in terms of that fit, it definitely is still one for narrow feet. I have a narrow foot. I still find it is a little bit on the snug kind of tight, mainly on the kind of sides of my foot up here, but generally up front in the toe box, it seems fine. I think you get enough kind of volume up front on top of the toes as well. It's just maybe at the sides, I get a little bit a bit more snug than I'd like. I think with the Mach 4, that particular part of the shoe, maybe over the kind of, you know, putting a lot more mileage in it, it has felt a little bit more relaxed. For me, I kind of maybe prefer the Mach 4 up a little bit. But in terms of what you're getting here on the Mach 5, it's very similar in terms of things like the laces. I think you're getting a slightly thinner tongue as well, which didn't really budge for me. I think you get a good hold at the heel and the midfoot as well. So for me, I think go true to size. My UK size 8, I think it is true to size. It does feel very narrow for me still. And I almost feel like the Mach 4 felt a little bit nicer in elements, but ultimately you're getting a similar kind of upper here, a similar kind of fit, I think, one for narrow feet. And yeah, I would probably go true to size as well, based on my running.
So I absolutely loved the Hoka Mach 4, and I didn't really like the Hoka Mach Supersonic that much, which was basically a heavier, less enjoyable shoe to run in than the Mach 4. I had some concerns with the Mach 5 that Hoka was going to take a bit too much of the Supersonic and not enough of the Mach 4, but my concerns have been allayed. I've loved running in the shoe. I've done 80k in it, you know, a range of daily training, lots of slow stuff, some fast stuff, and I think it's absolutely a fantastic shoe. What really stands out to me is just how natural it feels on the foot at kind of any pace. Like, it's so easy to get into a rhythm with this shoe, I find, from going very, very slowly, you know, plodding through the forest, going up hills, or today I did a progression run, working from easy pace down to around 330 per K pace, and just at every single pace, it feels really, really effortless to run in the shoe. It's got a very smooth ride, it's very light, it really disappears on the foot, it's not at all an intrusive or noticeable shoe, it just flows along the ground very nicely, and it's really comfortable on those easy runs as well, despite the fact, you know, it's not the biggest stack in the world, and it's pitched more as a speed day shoe. I really do think it's a very good general daily trainer that's great for easy runs and then has a bit of pace in it when you do want to do that. I think the new top layer of the midsole here does add a little bit more pop to it when you are running fast. There's a slight change in the feel of the shoe that when you do start putting more force into it and start running quicker, you get a bit more kind of bounce back, but overall I'd say it's a pretty similar experience to the Mach 4, and that's a good thing, I say, all round. It's really interesting, I find, that it's just I've been using at the same time as the shoe the Nike Zoom Fly 5 and the New Balance, you know, Super Comp trainer, just big high stack shoes with lots going on in the midsoles, carbon plates, mixes of foams, all very springy and soft foams. And the Supercon trainer is a lot of fun to run in, but there's something great about stepping into a much more natural feeling shoe like this afterwards with, it's got a dual density midsole, but there's no carbon plates in there. It's got a bit of a rocker going on, but it really feels much more normal on the foot, and just allow it, you pull it on, you forget about the shoe and just go and run. And it's kind of really all about you. The shoe isn't changing your stride in any way. You don't really notice it on the foot. It's just, go out and run. And it is fast, I think it's very good for kind of longer, hard runs, not all out paces, but, pushing towards like marathon pace. I think it'd be a very good marathon racing shoe without a plate, if that's the kind of thing you're into. And it's light enough for kind of short, sharp intervals as well. I'd say the area it maybe struggles compared to a plated shoe like something like the Saucony Endorphin Speed is probably extended reps at kind of faster race paces. So doing like lots of 1K reps at around 5K race pace, that kind of thing. That it does lose out a little bit there to the pop you get from a really good plated training shoe. But in general, it does a lot of stuff really well, and it does it in a way that just feels good on the foot in my experience. So yeah, been a huge fan of the Mach 5 in my runs.
So the Mach 4 was a fantastic shoe. It kind of took the world by storm when it popped up a year or so ago, and it was just fantastic for pretty much everything. It was a really balanced daily trainer that you could do fast training sessions in, but you could also do easy-ish runs in as well. And we all love that shoe. It's just a fantastic option if you just wanted a do-it-all shoe that could take you from all of your different training runs all the way up to race day. When the Mach Supersonic was released, it caused a few problems. Hoka focused this shoe largely on speed and not on that sort of balanced daily training miles that you get from the Hoka Mach 4. And as a result, we didn't really like this shoe very much. It was fine at faster paces, but it just didn't have the versatility of the Mach 4. And as a result, I very rarely used this shoe for any sort of runs. It just didn't have the joy that the Hoka Mach 4 brought me. So there was some concerns that the Mach 5 might take too many learnings from the Supersonic and not be as good as the Mach 4. That's completely not the case. It's a fantastic shoe. I think it's actually a superior shoe to the Mach 4. I think it's just a little bit softer, and it's just got a bit of a better fit for me than the original Mach 4. But those changes are very, very minimal, and it's just a fantastic shoe, thankfully. So I've been using this shoe for lots of different runs, all the way up from easy day training runs up to about 16k, to faster efforts like interval training and park run. And what I've found with this shoe, like the Mach 4, is that it is still absolutely fantastic at loads of different types of runs. I think it excels at those runs where you are training a little bit faster. So your daily training runs, if you're upping the pace a little bit and trying to do a little bit more speed training in your training runs, I think that it works really well for those runs. It feels light, it feels really propulsive, and it's just a great shoe for running a little bit faster in. But the benefit of the Hoka Mach 5 is that it's also very comfortable as well. That dual density midsole foam that sits in the Mach 5 is really where the magic happens. You get this harder foam sits on the outside, and then you get the softer foam that sits in the middle. That Pro 5 Plus midsole foam just has a lovely level of cushioning in it. That means that you can use this shoe if you're running slow, or if you are trying to run faster efforts, because it can just handle everything. It's just a really comfortable shoe to wear for all those different runs. But I think it does skew towards the faster efforts. And I would probably say that if you were going to buy this shoe as your only shoe, the only runs that I think it would probably struggle with is those really cushioned, comfortable, easy day runs. It's fine at them. And I would be happy to use this shoe for all of my training. But if you want a cushion shoe, they're obviously quite a bit better for softness and cushioning and comfort. But this shoe does okay. At those faster efforts, if you're doing interval training or even if you're racing, it's just really, really nice. It doesn't have a plate in it, so it doesn't have the sort of propulsion that you get from a plated shoe, but the lightness sort of offsets that and just makes for a fantastic rolling smooth motion when you're running. It's a really enjoyable shoe to run in. I've really enjoyed it for those faster interval sessions as well, because it feels great at speed. You can pick up the pace and you really go at a high pace for your level in this shoe, or if you're just doing a warm-up or a cool-down, it feels very comfortable as well. So it ticks a lot of boxes for that. I'd also say that if you picked one shoe for all of your running, from training to racing, this is a great option as well. It's just sort of catch-all trainer that just... Hoka really have hit the nail on the head with this when it comes to versatile, lightweight shoes. And every run I've done in it, I've just thought it's been fantastic.
So in terms of my run test, fortunately, I did manage to bank a lot of running in this shoe before COVID hit again. And I've been back into it since I've kind of been able to go back out running. And what we'll say is, I was a massive fan of the Mach 4. And I feel similar about my time running in the Mach 5. And I think obviously the key difference here, obviously it's a lighter shoe, and it's not something I massively noticed personally. I still think the Mach 4, I didn't feel like that was a heavy shoe for me personally, but you are getting a lighter shoe overall. The midsole foam and the change in the midsole foam is what really kind of changes what you get here in terms of the experience. I still think you're getting something that has a nice kind of bounce to it when you kind of pick that pace up. Then ultimately you're getting a little bit of firmness. It feels a little bit firmer than what I experienced in the Mach 4. And what that does is ultimately gives you, I think, something that feels a little bit more responsive, a little bit more stable, a little bit more consistent. And that's what I felt in this run. I look at a daily trainer shoe, and that's what I would kind of describe the Mach 5 and the Mach 4 as. I look for something that can, allows you to kind of run a little bit quicker and feel nice to run quicker. And that's what you get with the Mach 5. That's what I found on my shorter stuff and also in the longer stuff when I was running a little bit quicker, probably less, quicker than my kind of marathon pace, but, trying to run a little bit faster in the shoe. And you can ease off as well, and I think you still get something that feels comfortable to run at those kind of slightly slower paces. My only real concern here with the Mach 5, and it's the same concern as I had with the Mach 4, is the outsole, and what kind of durability you're going to get here. The outsole, for me, doesn't feel very different from the Mach 4. I think you're going to get similar levels of durability in terms of what you're going to get from this shoe, which is a shame when you consider how much you are going to spend on this shoe. But I do think it is a shoe that is better suited for longer runs. Like I said, I've done a lot of running in the Mach 4. That was kind of the shoe that I've been using the most in terms of my daily training miles. It's a shoe that I've really enjoyed in. Sometimes lost a little bit of zip or a little bit of that kind of fun, I think, from it, mainly just because maybe you're losing something in terms of that durability over, longer term kind of testing. But for me, in terms of my experience of running in the Mach 5, I loved running shorter and quicker in it. When I want to go longer, hour plus kind of runs in it, and kind of maintain that pace, it felt really enjoyable to run in. I think for me, I ran in the Mach Supersonic. I found this a little bit nicer to run. I was a little bit disappointed in my time in the Mach Supersonic. I feel this works a little bit nicer in terms of that kind of daily training shoe. It feels like back to what we got on the Mach 4, the Mach 5. This is, holding the characteristics and the key things from that shoe, bringing it in here, putting it in a lighter shoe, giving it a midsole foam that I think gives it a bit more protective qualities in terms of those longer runs as well. But you still get that enjoyable kind of bouncy ride as well on the shorter kind of quicker stuff as well. So yeah, my run test, all real positive. I didn't really have a bad run in this shoe. I didn't really have any bad runs in the Mach 4 either. And I think this is just, improvements I think are going to make this shoe a little bit nicer to work at longer distances, and overall just a really enjoyable shoe to run in, and one I think it's going to stick around in my rotation as well.
So my verdict on the Hoka Mach 5, as you probably guessed, is that I think it's still a fantastic shoe. I think the updates that are made to this, specifically in the midsole, do make it slightly better. It just feels a little bit softer. Feels like there's a little bit more bounce in it when you're running, but not massively. I think if you got hold of the Mach 4, you're still getting a pretty much similar shoe to this, but this just has a couple of little upgrades that feel a bit nicer. The other one of those is the fit of the upper, which I think is just a little bit more comfortable than the Hoka Mach 4, but that shoe there's no issues with that shoe at all. So if you go for the Mach 4, you'll be fine as well. I would say that when you compare this shoe to other options out there in the same league as this shoe, so things like the Saucony Endorphin Speed, I think the Speed is still a superior shoe. It's got the plate in it. It does feel like you can go a bit faster in it, but I think it's more enjoyable and comfortable to wear this shoe. I prefer the cushioning in this shoe. I prefer the relaxed feel of the midsole. There's no that plate in the Speed does feel quite rigid, whereas this just feels a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed. So if you don't want a plate in your training shoes and you want to be able to train at a pace, I think the Mach 5 might be a better option than the Endorphin Speed. But other than that, I just think it's a fantastic shoe. Hoka have really done a good job in not taking learnings from the Supersonic and sticking with what they knew worked in the Hoka Mach 4. And I would definitely look at this shoe if you want to have a do-it-all trainer that either is your only trainer that you use maybe if you're training for a 10k or to half marathon. I probably wouldn't use this for a marathon because I like a lot of cushioning, but I think you could do it if you like less cushioning for your races. So yeah, overall fantastic shoe, love it, and pleased that Hoka haven't made any drastic changes to the shoe that could have ruined a largely flawless shoe.
So even in kind of the fast training category or daily training category of running shoes now, it's now been overwhelmed with kind of plated options and stuff like that. And some of them are absolutely fantastic. Like, you're not going to hear me say a bad word about the Saucony Endorphin Speed, but at the same time, if you are looking for a non-plated shoe, just a lightweight, simple, reliable shoe that can do a lot of things really well, then the Hoka Mach 5 is that shoe. It'll also be a pretty good racing shoe for long distances if you're avoiding carbon plates or nylon plates or any kind of plate in your marathon racing shoe. I think you'll find better options for shorter distances with kind of classic racing flats, but at the full marathon, I'm someone who would appreciate the cushion this provides while still being a fast and smooth ride. Plates do exist, and I would say if you're not worried about that, then the Saucony Endorphin Speed, is a better shoe. It's a faster shoe. It's not as comfortable as the Mach 5, but it is a very impressive, training shoe to use with lots of stuff, and it does really pop in your fast runs in particular. But this is, like I said, a bit more comfortable, a bit more natural, a bit cheaper, a really solid option for daily training if you are eschewing these kind of modern training shoes, things like the Supercomp Trainer or the Endorphin Speed or anything like that, and you just want, reliable shoe, step out the door, go enjoy it. This will do it, and it does it at a really nice range of paces. The outsole remains a concern on this shoe, but I've done 80k in it. I see kind of you do rub off the kind of pattern on the exposed foam, but I'm not seeing a huge amounts of damage to the foam as yet. But yeah, it's not going to be as long lasting as a shoe with a full rubber outsole. But at the same time, I think one of the reasons the shoe does feel so nice on the foot is that it doesn't have that rubber outsole. So the foam comes straight into contact with the ground. It creates a kind of softer, quieter, smoother landing. So it'll be a bit of a trade-off either way, but yeah, you are going to sacrifice some durability with this exposed foam outsole.
So my verdict on the Mach 5 is that it is a standout daily trainer shoe. If you are looking for a running shoe that works at a variety of paces, I think works well at the shorter distances and the longer distances as well, this is where that shoe really excels. I think in terms of the improvements that you're getting from the Mach 4 to the Mach 5, I think the cushioning, creates something that feels better, more protective in terms of doing those kind of longer runs. If that's something you were looking for the Mach 5, I think that's ultimately what you get here on the Mach 5. Now, if you could find the Mach 4 for less, I would still probably lean on getting that. I think from an affordability point of view, in terms of the experience of running in that shoe, I think still, you get those characteristics here in the Mach 5. You still get that in the Mach 4 as well. You're getting similar in terms of that outsole durability as well, I would say, and the fit as well. Definitely one for narrow feet based on my experience. In terms of other kind of daily trainers in this kind of mold of, working at a variety of paces, I would say, things like the Puma Velocity Nitro 2, that is cheaper than this shoe. I would say the upper feels a little bit more comfortable, a little more snug, and then the cushioning feels a little bit more responsive and softer for me. So I think, it makes it work a little bit better at the slower paces and those kind of easy miles, if that's kind of what you're looking for, but also works great at the kind of quicker stuff as well, I think too. Then obviously the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 as well. I would say the upper on that compared to this is a lot more accommodating, a little bit more spacious. I think a better fit for wide feet as well. I think, again, you're getting something there with the Speed 3 that works, a variety of speeds, that speed roll technology, that you're getting in the design, and the cushioning you're getting in the Speed 3, I think is really kind of great from that point of view as well. And I think you're getting better durability, I think, ultimately on the Speed 3 in terms of the outsole compared to the Mach 5. But I still think this is a standout shoe. This is a shoe that I will probably use in my rotation for my kind of daily trainer miles when I'm not looking to run at my marathon pace, and the kind of shoes that I will race in. Ultimately, it's not cheap, but I think, again, as I said, if you can find the Mach 4 for less, I would probably still go for that, just because the characteristics there with the Mach 4 and the Mach 5 are very similar. And I think the main thing for me you're getting here is a better suited shoe for those kind of longer runs, if that's what you want to use the Mach 5 for, and also use for kind of easier and kind of quicker, shorter stuff as well. So yeah, a shoe I've really enjoyed running, one that's going to stick in my rotation, well worth checking it out. And yeah, as I said, a standout daily trainer here in the Mach 5.
So that's it from us. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click that little bell icon. It really does make a difference. And check the channel out for all the other videos we've got from the latest road and trail shoes, as well as running headphones and watches out at the moment. And don't forget to check out the podcast that we have, the monthly podcast that comes out at the end of each month. If you go into the captions below, you can find the link to the page where you can find whichever podcast provider you prefer to use. And we drop a new one of those every month. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon.